Welcome, beauties, to Starchaeology Tarot. I am Desi. Yes, I made up the word Starchaeology. Guys, it's like star and plus archaeology, because star is for healing in tarot. It's hope, it's dreams coming true, it's such beauty, and deep introspective enlightenment. Combined with archaeology, which, archaeologists dig, guys, and they discover cool things that give us a better understanding of our past so that we can move into our future. Hence Starchaeology Tarot. I am your Starchaeologist. I'm Desi. Did I already say that? Welcome. I am here today to deliver to you a reading that will meet you wherever you are when you are finding this video. So when you find this video, it's when you are supposed to find this video. And you are meant to hear what you are meant to hear in this video. We're doing a pick a pile reading today. So I'm going to shuffle these cards. I'm working with 4 different tarot decks, and I'm going to create those piles, and then you each are going to pick the pile that resonates with you, that you feel drawn to, as that is the one that will likely hold your message from the divine. I also will be putting timestamps in the description box below, so once you choose your pile, you can go to the timestamp below for that pile in order to just directly get to your reading. Let's do this. Okay, so for those of you who chose pile 1, let's do this. What do we got here? Okay, we have, so our animal card is, our animal spirit card is the oyster. We have the 6 of Wands. We have the 9 of Swords. And lastly, the High Priestess. Lovely. Okay, so based on this animal spirit card, I want to start off with wands, and I'm going to read the excerpt from Kim Krantz's book, the creator of this deck, The Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Guidebook, because Kim describes what she has written about each of her cards is so succinct and eloquent and beautiful, and I don't want to deprive you of her interpretation before I get into mine. So let's start by reading the oyster card, what she has written about the oyster. Where are we at? Where are we at, though? Here we go. Okay, oyster. So this is a water card. Patient, secret keeper, hiding inner treasures. The focus and determination of the oyster is unmatched. Anything an oyster personality puts their mind to, they achieve with grace and charm. The only problem is oyster types often take their inner gifts for granted. They become shy or doubtful, and this can lead to withdrawing or protecting their deepest desires and life's work. When the oyster card appears, it's important to reveal your inner treasures. What is it you've been hesitant to share? The world is waiting to see. When in balance, feels blessed, generous, masterful. When out of balance, reluctant, gripping, clams up. To bring into balance, share something. Ah, that is so beautiful. I'm going to keep this open because that is just so She's done it again, Kim. Okay, so pile 1, we had the oyster. Okay, this is coming together for me a bit. There is some inner gift that you have, and I would venture to say that this is what your true passion is. It's something that is, that you might consider only to be a hobby. When in fact it is very likely your calling in life. But I think a part of you, many of you I think have resisted this in the way of career because you've been protective of the gift itself. It's a combination though of being protective of the gift and being in denial of the gift. Because oftentimes when we are blessed with some talent, we're blessed with some skill or propensity towards something, there comes this obedience that comes along with it. It's almost like a sense of duty, of this feeling like this has to be shared. Artists are vessels, and we are all artists in different ways. We are all vessels in different ways. By resisting what has been given to you, what has been blessed to you by the divine, we stop our own flow. We stop the flow of energy, like through our chakra system. We completely become blocked. And this blockage can affect so many different areas of our lives because it is a creative blockage. And when the need to create is blocked, that affects like creating in all ways. It also can actually affect our perception of the world and how we believe the world works if we feel creatively blocked, or if we feel like there's no place to let what needs to come through us out. So I think that some of you, I don't really see, I'm hearing for those of you who picked pile 1, this really isn't an issue of taking your inner gifts for granted. Really, it's a combination more so of doubting your own gifts, being shy about your own gifts, and also protecting them, like in a way being like, this is something that I love, this is my hobby, I don't want to make it my career. I don't want to put more focus on it than I already do, because then it could become a point of pressure as opposed to a release, an escape, which is what it is now. And I think that you've been on this journey, like kind of figuring out, having a struggle really in this, that your relationship with this passion, your relationship with whatever this inner treasure is for you. And recently you had some sort of victory in sharing it. Sixes in tarot are all about connection. And the Six of Wands specifically is about that connection being made because you are coming home the victor. You are connecting with your people through this victory, through this form of success. And oh God, this image is just so beautiful. You can see her eyes like floating away. Because there's a sense of you recently, there's this thing that has come along with your own success, with this victory of sharing and connecting with others, that has allowed you perspective on your own gift that you haven't seen through your own lens before. It's almost like that eye is drifting away from you because there's distance between your own judgment of yourself and your work. And that distance is something that hasn't existed before. You're seeing yourself almost from like a third-party perspective. You're seeing yourself from the perspective of those with whom you are connecting, those with whom you are sharing your gift, and seeing yourself, your gifts through their eye is enlightening for you. It's opening you up to the truth about your inner gifts and giving you strength to not be so shy about it, to not be so protective of it or withdrawn with it. this has been a thing of encouragement, sharing this with the world and having this kind of response. Whatever this successful response is, it's been grounding and enlightening. Your inner treasures, I feel the need to say this for some of you. You have kept your inner treasures secret because some of you feel like they are maybe truly the only thing that are really yours in this life. And there might be a fear of sharing them, of them becoming, you losing ownership of them in some way, where someone else's creative voice shapes them or affects them in a way that you're like, I don't want these to be subject to your criticism or to your influence or anyone else's influence. These really are mine. These come from this inner, deep place. And this is spiritual. This is the Six of Wands. This victory for regarding these inner treasures for you and sharing these inner treasures is because this is the suit of wands, which is the suit of fire. It's life force energy. This is soul purpose. This is something that you feel so drawn to do. You feel this connection that you cannot stop. It's that life force. It's that vitality. It's where it's the force where desire comes from. And it's not like you are so blocked that you are completely stunting your desire to do something. I think some of you maybe are writing it off almost like, this is not a practical thing for me to put my time towards, even though you feel like you want to put your time towards it, you want to be devoted to it. If you are feeling that, this is a time right now to step out of that and say that type of thinking is not supporting my highest good and my highest self. That type of thinking is making yourself, your ego, your higher power, because you have no faith in anything other than your own identity in this form. And when I say no faith, I mean the lack of faith goes with a type of micromanaging control. When you feel, pile one, like you are afraid to do something because you can't control how the outcome is going to be, or you feel drawn to take a step, but you are resisting to taking that step because you can't control what the next step is going to be, or where the rest of the path is going to lead. That kind of control, that kind of level of control and need for control is symptomatic of a lack of faith in something greater than yourself. It's kind of putting this huge pressure on you, your identity, your ego in this form to have everything planned out for you so that you can guarantee your own success and guarantee your own security and stability. But we only truly grow in a very deep way when we relinquish some of that, when we let go of some of that. Yes, to a certain level, control is wonderful. On another level, it's not, because it limits us. It keeps us small. The world is waiting to see what these inner treasures are. And if you resist sharing them because you can't really control what's going to happen after you share them, then you're blocking yourself off from all the potential magic that can come from sharing them. I think I got a little bit off track. There was something I know I was about to say, and now I'm like, what was it? You can only feel blessed and grateful for your gifts when you are sharing them. The more you share them, the more grateful and blessed you feel. Also, the more masterful you feel, what is that? That is a level of control in some way. Being in control, being in a place of autonomy over what you are capable of creating. Forget what happens after the creation itself. and what happens after the process of just putting it out there and sharing it. That's beyond what you can control and what you should be controlling. But you can feel very much authoritative over your own life. You can feel power and powerful simply by sharing what your gifts are, because it puts you in this masterful position. So I think some of you, you're still at a point where you're resisting even sharing, period. Others of you, you've recently been sharing and you've been experiencing some sort of victory in this and some sort of connection that has really resulted from this, which is beautiful. Sorry, I guess. Gotta scoot back a little bit here. Okay. Your path forward, and I'm kind of already talking about this, but your path forward is a fork in the road between these two options. The Nine of Swords, which is the anxiety card, it is the up at 3 a.m. card, the insomnia card, trying to think your way out of problems that you've created with your mind. We find ourselves in this Nine of Swords position when we are laboring under the false belief that we can solve a problem by thinking our way out of it. Or that we even have these problems, that these problems are ours to be fixed, ours to be controlled, ours to be dealt with. And it's like, we think, oh, well, if I can just think about this enough, then this problem that I am creating purely from the way that I'm thinking about this, I can somehow get myself out of this. I think for you, this is manifesting as really the mental labor that you are doing over the sharing of these gifts, over revealing these secret parts of yourself. And you're making it a lot less straightforward than it needs to be. This doesn't have to be an act of mental gymnastics. This should be something that's... Wands are about action. Wands are about taking action. And acting from this gut intuitive place. Wand energy is also always optimistic. There's an optimism and almost like turning a blind eye to potential problems, because those problems are just opportunities to be successful. The problems are things that can be overcome, which means they're opportunities for winning. That is how the Wands mentality is for this, on this type of thing. So that is very opposite of this Swords energy, which is paralyzing, which is you think that you're being active because you're thinking so much about it. But that kind of thought, especially that kind of unproductive, like falling down a worry spiral thought, is not active at all. It's falsely making you believe like you're doing something when really you're being incredibly passive because you're afraid of doing the wrong thing. And oysters, pile one, there is no wrong thing for you to do here. The only wrong thing you could do is not share. The only wrong thing you could do is continue keeping a secret what ought to be public knowledge. Keeping a secret, keeping your own secrets that you're like, why am I even keeping these secret? I'm hearing that some of you feel like shame. That's like, where is that rooted in? How could you possibly be thinking about this so much, that doing these mental gymnastics so much that somehow your brain has twisted some sort of gift into some cause for shame in your mind? There's nothing shameful about this. This is an inner treasure. And if that is what is causing, for some of you, this impulse to keep this secret, you're laboring under a misconception, a misguided belief. You do not only yourself a favor by sharing this gift with the world, you do others a favor by sharing this gift with the world. It helps both of you. It's a mutual, it's a symbiotic action. But the point is taking action. Don't be worrying. Don't get caught up worrying in the right action or the wrong action. Sharing is the action, not sharing is the lack of action. And the victory comes from sharing. The victory comes from taking action. So this fight between these mental gymnastics, this kind of worry, and following this intuition, this is the High Priestess. So we have a major arcana card here, in addition to these two minor arcana cards. This is really getting in touch with your creative feminine power. And these are both passive, but this passivity is powerful. This passivity is not. This passivity informs action, because it's almost like when you go deep inside, you also are then able to affect real change and action on the outside, because you have a better introspective understanding of yourself, which then informs your action. It's makes you much more aware and wise about the decisions that you make, because you have this much better sense of your higher self and your higher purpose, and that intuitive subconscious space that the High Priestess lives in. When we have a complete lack of understanding of that, then we always act from a place of the conscious mind, which can often be misleading, because if we're not curious about the subconscious, then we act from a place of subconscious without ever understanding how the subconscious is affecting us. And we just think, oh, I'm doing this from a conscious place, but we really aren't. And that lack of awareness keeps us from growing. It keeps us from achieving the things that we're pursuing. The High Priestess is an invitation into that unknown inside. It's an invitation into the subconscious. And yes, it's passive because it's about internal exploration, but it informs action. It goes hand in hand with the magician, who's not here, but the High Priestess, almost, you can't talk about the High Priestess without talking the magician, the masculine counterpart to the feminine passivity of the High Priestess is the masculine action of the magician. And you can't have one without the other. When those two things are out of balance, that's really when we become paralyzed. The action, though, you're taking is not informed by overthinking. The cards are calling for you to take action that isn't focused on worrying about getting it right. And by doing that, I'm seeing this circle. It's like this cycle of that action affecting your inner work, that action affecting the internal exploration that you're doing as this High Priestess, that opening doors to your subconscious, that opening channels to your creativity, which then sheds light about you, which then also informs your action. So it's this beautiful cycle of your creative process, and a crucial part of that is of sharing it, of keeping it not just to yourself, because
Keeping it to yourself, again, is too, it's too heavy on the passive side. When you keep it to yourself, you keep things inside. You keep things only internal. And that's just as bad of a balance as having too much action that has no introspection, that has no internal questioning and probing and exploration. So as you're doing this creative work, pile one, keep exploring. Take a leap of faith and share, because it's going to expand your perspective. Remember this floating eye. It's expanding your perspective, not only to see this perspective of those with whom you share about you and your work, but that eye is also floating right to your third eye. This is giving you an intuitive view and perspective on yourself. This is opening up the eye of your intuition, the eye of your subconscious. So that awareness can teach you something about what purpose these inner treasures are serving and what purpose sharing them will serve. Very positive, pile one. Yay, leave in the comments what this is about for you. I'm super curious. Okay. Hi, pile two. You guys are great. This is what you chose. We have, oh snap. We got the crow. We got some major crow magic happening here. We've got the devil. We've got the Two of Cups. And we've got the Seven of Wands. Beautiful. Okay, pile two, I want to, I'm working with 3 tarot decks here, as you can see, and then I'm working with a animal spirit guide deck from the Wild Unknown. I want to read Kim Krantz's description of the crow because her words are eloquent and accurate, and I don't want to deprive you of her own interpretation of these cards because they're beautiful. She really sums it up very well. And then we'll use this as a launching point for the rest of the reading, which will come from, no, not from me, it will come through me. Okay, crow. Spiritually strong, creative, watchful. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. The crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown. It is said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the 3 realities, past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. Ugh, beautiful. When in balance, psychic, strong, clear. When out of balance, ungrounded, hypersensitive. To bring into balance, daily meditation practice. I'm going to leave this open so I can reference Kim's genius. Give me just a moment, pile two. I need to absorb this whole picture here. Okay, so pile two. There is a specific relationship. The Two of Cups often comes up at the start of a romantic relationship or the start of an important friendship. I think many of you are in a place where you are starting a relationship or starting a friendship in some way. I also am hearing for some of you like you're restarting a relationship. I'm not sure quite what that means, but please comment if that is accurate for you. I also think that for others, this is not, oh, maybe this is what what the restarting was. It's like sometimes I'll get a download and I'm like, I don't know what that is, and then in my own mind I'll make sense of it. Maybe this is what that spirit meant by that. Some of you, this is not a brand new relationship or a brand new friendship, but it's almost experiencing a rebirth within this relationship that has existed for a long time. That's, regardless, this is about some connection in your life, and this is very reminiscent of the Lover's card in tarot, but this is the minor arcana, which is why it often has to do more so with beginnings. But like that, you know, we don't have an angel overseeing this union, but we do have this figure, this winged lion figure, which also suggests the same thing as the angel, which is that there is something glimpsed here with this connection with this other person that can't be glimpsed alone. It's something that's otherworldly. It takes you beyond just the conscious mind into the subconscious, into the superconscious, that really has the potential to open up this portal of healing for many of you. Do any of you recognize that symbol? This is often on hospitals and stuff. There's a healing element to that, of having that kind of subconscious, superconscious awareness and power that you experience in connection, because you're somehow suddenly greater than yourself. But there's also a glimpse of not just healing, but joy. The joy that comes through connection, the bliss that comes through connection. We glimpse heaven on earth when we connect with others, because it's only through others that we have a mirror to see ourselves properly. And when we actually take advantage of using that mirror for the sake of our own growth, and we look at it really honestly, that's when real magic can happen in our lives. Because that's what, it's self-awareness that destroys blockages. It's self-awareness that pushes us to learn lessons that have been presenting themselves over and over again, begging to be learned. And it's only through these cycles of challenge and overcoming challenges and then victory over those challenges, which is the constant education, the constant self-study that the Crow talks about, that we experience greater and greater, deeper and deeper levels of joy and peace and fulfillment. That all being said, you are in a bit of a battle in this connection. And the battle is not against the other person. The battle is against your own negativity, thought patterns, things that you have been a slave to in the past, things that have kept you chained in some way in the past. It's interesting seeing the Devil card. I want to show you guys what the Devil card looks like in this deck. I gotta show you. And then talk about the differences. The fact that we pulled the Devil in the Moon Power deck and not this deck is significant, but I gotta take you on this journey with me. The Devil card in the Rider-Waite deck looks an awful lot like the Lover's card / the Two of Cups. So here we have the Lover's card, which, as you can see, is very close to the Two of Cups. And then, put that aside, and then here's the Devil card. Do you see the similarities between this? Oftentimes, the same way that others can liberate us, and others allow for us to glimpse that angel or glimpse this winged lion, glimpse the magical the spiritual, the transcendent, through connection with another person. Because connection with that other person is a mirror, it also can go the other way, or it's really the same way, because seeing our darkness and seeing our shadow is also part of having a spiritual experience. It's also part of the deepening of our subconscious and superconscious growth and exploration. It's embracing the shadow is just as important as seeing heaven, as seeing the light. So it's really interesting that the devil would show up with the Two of Cups, because, if these were both in this deck, it would look like this. It's like this relationship, this connection for you is highlighting your own struggles, things that have trapped you, things that have enslaved you, things that you've been a slave to in the past. But I find it fascinating that we pulled the devil in this card, in this deck, in the moon power deck, and not in another deck, because in this deck she is alone, which tells me that battling with your demons right now, battling with your shadow self right now, it really is just your shadow self. It might be being triggered by this other person, by this mirror, but it's not about them. It's not about the connection at all. It's about you. It's about you. This is a struggle inside yourself. And I also find it interesting because in this deck especially, we see the devil is representative of being particularly enslaved by materialism, obsessed with materialism. And that can mean in a very literal sense and also not so literal sense. It's being a slave to the parts of the world that keep us small, keep us simply experiencing things on the superficial, conscious level. But also materialism in more of in a less literal sense too, which is, for example, negativity, addiction to negativity, because our material world functions. It depends upon insecurity. It depends often upon negative thinking patterns, on cultural, really entrenched, like beliefs entrenched in our culture of not being enough, of being less than, a need to be perfect rather than embracing our flaws. So many cultural things that are at their root dark. And that's all wrapped up into the materialism of this world. So this is like highlighting that. Like you can see she's like incredibly stylish. This is a very, it's an interpretation that really makes me think more about the materialistic aspect, that the focus on surface level things rather than what's more deeply going on, and being a slave to those those surface level things, which is so interesting because that completely opposes the crow energy. Being a slave to the surface level things, they're on the surface, which means almost like worshiping only the things that you can see with your own eyes, worshiping only the things that you know because they have been proven, whatever that means. Don't get me started on that. I'm a big supporter of science, but the nature of science is questioning itself constantly and disproving things that we once called fact. So real scientists should have the most open mind imaginable. And I think that a real scientist must channel true crow energy too. I don't know why I'm suddenly talking about scientists. You guys tell me, are any of you scientists? But I think that there's an open-mindedness that comes with this crow magic of being drawn to the supernatural, having a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown, and not needing proof in the metrics, the primitive metrics that we have now for proving something, because we have a long way to go in learning, in our education of this world on a physical plane, but especially of life on a more spiritual plane. The world in 3D and then the 5D experience. We have so much to learn in that way. So this really is, there's something about this connection that is like opening you up to the ways in which you have been enslaved by something that is surface level, something that should not enslave the deepest part of you. It cannot possibly own the deepest part of you, but you have fallen victim into believing that it rules you, and it doesn't. It is not your God. It doesn't have to have the control over you that you let it have over you. You are allowing that. You are consenting to that. Inside, maybe without even really knowing. So, this is a fight for you to approach this relationship and approach the awareness that you are gaining about yourself through the eye of the crow, through the eye of the supernatural. Seeing yourself as the magical, intuitive being that you are. Recognizing your shadows for what they are and relying strongly on your ability to see the unseen and know the unknown right now. Because in the realm of you, in the realm of your own inner awareness and your self-expansion, you are so much more powerful and so much more of an expert on yourself than you even realize. It's easy to dampen your intuition, to say, I feel like this is right for me, or I feel like I need to set a boundary here, or I know what this is about. But that doesn't make sense, because look at what's happening right in front of my eyes. And you're undermining what you know about what's happening invisibly in the situation. Gosh, I hope that this is making sense for the specifics in your life. This brings me to my last card, the Seven of Wands. So this is all about being an advocate. This is often known as the Advocate card. And it's about like particular struggles coming up that are being raised, I think, from this connection, being triggered from this connection, battles that you feel drawn to fight. Again, be wary of who your real enemy is. It's not the person in front of you. It's the devil inside you. It's the thing that has a grasp on your very soul. And it likely goes back very, very far. You have a history with this devil. And now is a time, there's something about this connection, this relationship that is perfectly positioning you to liberate yourself from these chains. To see the truth of a situation. To see yourself, to see the unseen version of you. This is not something you can see by looking in the mirror. You see this through your mind's eye. You see yourself through your mind's eye, with your third eye. It is not, it's an awareness that you are not gaining by looking into a literal mirror. This is like a deep, deep introspection that is magic in itself in how you are seeing yourself, in how this reflection is being presented to you. Anyway, that's where the battleground is. That's where the battleground is where you're fighting. And what is more crucial than ever is that you protect and advocate this crow in you. You advocate for this voice that's coming from that crow. That crow magic, that crow wisdom. You need to fight for that, for this voice to be heard and for this voice to be heeded. Is that the right word? This voice to be listened to. And you don't need to explain yourself to anyone else. I'm hearing that too. I'm like, you don't owe an explanation to anyone. You don't need to prove to someone else who can't see the unseen the way that you can see the unseen. Because they're not going to see it the way you see it. You can't expect them to have this bird's eye view that you have. You can't expect them to have this crow magic that you have. And so there's also a level of acceptance of being like, I know that this is right for me. I know that what this issue is about is XYZ. I know this has to do with my own wounds, my own conditioning. I'm seeing clearly what's actually going on here beneath the surface. And I don't need to explain it to anyone else. I just need to make sure that my actions reflect my own listening to this voice. That is how you advocate for yourself, how you advocate for this personal power, and how you affirm it too. Because if you deny this crow energy, that's when it gets out of balance. That's when you start feeling ungrounded. That's when you get hypersensitive. And that's when you get cloudy too. That's when that psychic intuition, that power that you have, that gets cloudy. And your clear-headedness goes out the window. You invite more of that into your life by affirming it, which means listening to it and actually acting on it. Really cool, pile 2. I want to end by just saying one other thing. This connection that's coming up here, if for those of you who are like, I don't know who this connection is, I think that this being paired specifically with the devil as, being presented as a single person here, this connection is the connection between your ego and your higher self. This is not even necessarily with another physical person, but there is your connection, your trust that you are building between you in this form, you, your name, your ego in this 3D world, and your higher self, the part of yourself that is not limited to the body that you are in. There is a deepening of that relationship that is happening. A real growth that is happening. And when we talk about trusting ourselves, listening, when we have a voice that sees the unseen and knows the unknown, that is self-trust. It's the relationship with our higher self that gets strengthened. And the relationship with our higher selves being strengthened, that is a first step to then experiencing real physical reward in the physical world. Because our experience in the world is only a reflection of our internal experience. The macro is always a reflection of the micro. We create the experience we are in. We create the reality around us. And that starts with this relationship with our higher selves. Pile 2, you're cool. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that was really helpful. Pile 3, you did it. You chose pile 3. Let's see what is on the menu for you. We have the turtle. That's a water card there. We have the 8 of cups, another water card. Cups energy. Oh my god, temperance, which guess what she's holding right in her 2 hands, cups. And 4 of swords, which are not cups. Okay. Pile 3, I want to kick this reading off with a reading from Kim Krantz's book, Animal Spirit Guidebook. She is the creator of the Wild Unknown decks, including her tarot deck and this Animal Spirit book. And Kim just really, well, she created this, so, you know, she should know what she's talking about. But she really, her interpretations of her cards are so eloquent and accurate and beautiful. I don't want to deprive you of her interpretation. So I'll read that to you, and we'll use that as a jumping off point for this reading. If I can find it. I just found it. Turtle. Okay, if I can turn the page. Okay, I just did it. Turtle. Ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self. Oh, beautiful. It is wonderful, not wonderful, it's wonderful to be in the present. I'm going to try this sentence one more time. It is wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with the earth and water elements simultaneously. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life, no matter where their travel leads them. I'm having such a hard time, I'm sorry. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life, no matter where their travels lead them. Turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers as they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all the other books and begin to tell our own true tale. When in balance, peaceful, adventurous, productive. When out of balance, slows down to a halt. To bring into balance, adventure. Well, that's beautiful. I'm going to keep this open for reference here. I also want to look at one thing in my tarot journal, because I journal about tarot cards, you guys. Can you believe that? Am I the biggest nerd in the world? Maybe. I just want to have this open too. So I was just journaling about this, about temperance. Give me just a moment as I look at this whole picture here. So we have the turtle card with the 8 of cups, leaving a situation, and we have temperance. In harmony between the two, facing resistance. So pile 3, we have some, or turtles, as I might call you. We actually have more animal imagery in this reading than the others, because this 8 of Cups card also features ostriches. And ostrich symbolism is pretty interesting in shamanism. It talks a lot, actually. It's a lot about what I just read, actually, in the turtle card. It goes pretty hand in hand. The ostrich totem appears when there is a need to protect ourselves, protect our energy against harmful energy from others, and grounding yourself and your emotions. So this turtle card is all about earth and water, which is the grounding of emotions, earth and water. And the ostrich is also about that too, because we have, an ostrich will put its head literally in the ground as a form of like resting and rejuvenation, which we have here. So there really is a definite call right now for grounding emotions for you. I think because there's something in your life maybe that where you're getting a bit wrapped up in your emotional reaction to it, which might be misleading to you. You might be identifying more with your emotions themselves rather than with yourself as this deeper being that goes beyond just the emotions you experience. You are not your emotions. You are a container for your emotions. And sometimes when we get kind of wrapped up in the emotional tide that we experience, we start thinking that we are the tide itself, but we're not. We're the ocean. And this can make you feel sometimes like the turtle's coming up and says, ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self. This can sometimes make us feel not home in ourselves when we feel like we are identifying with our emotions alone, not what the emotions are modifying, which is us. Emotions are adjectives, we are nouns. I'm a grammar nerd. Sorry, everyone. So this is really beautiful, the symbolism here. There's a call right now for you to go to find, to journey home, to go homeward bound. You're homeward bound, or at least you should be homeward bound right now. That's the adventure that is waiting for you. Also, though, I think that doesn't mean literally going home. It's like you find the home within yourself by going on the adventure that you are called to go on. And there is a call for adventure right now that's happening. The Eight of Cups specifically comes up when we have, this is a very different interpretation than classic tarot, with the ostrich component to it, but we'll work that in here. We'll cover that. The Eight of Cups appears when we have what looks like to be on paper a perfect situation. It's nice. We've achieved a lot. It checks a lot of boxes, but for whatever reason, we have this deeper knowledge, this knowing, this self-trust, that turtle, that it's time for us to move on, that it's time to say goodbye to this situation. It's like your emotional intelligence is leveling up, and you are listening to that, and you need to ground that in action. So talking again about water and earth coming together, you have this, I think some of you are having this nagging, you know what to do about a certain situation. You know you need to physically leave a certain situation because you've already emotionally left it. Your heart is already checked out of it. And you're like, I know that this isn't right for me anymore. Even though everyone else looking at it would be like, why would you leave that? It's a great situation. You got a great deal here. But you just know that you are not at home anymore in this situation. And if you don't act on this, then you never ground the emotion in anything real, which means you don't affirm your own wisdom and self-trust. This acting on this emotional, this nagging inside, this emotional wisdom, this EQ, this growing EQ that you have, that is what grounds the emotion that you're feeling about it. There's this situation that, whatever that perfect, situation was that you were in, that looks so good on paper, you are done with it, and your body is calling out for a rest, but especially your mind is calling out for a rest, because I think that you kind of have been trying to in a way you've been trying to think your way out of this situation, or reason with yourself like ad nauseum. Like, why do I have this feeling? It doesn't make logical sense. I need to logically, intellectually make sense of this before I can act on it. And that's where real emotional intelligence is cultivated and grown, because it truly is pure emotional intelligence. It doesn't always go hand in hand with logic. Oftentimes we feel something, we act on it, and then we understand in retrospect. We're able to practically, logically make sense of it. But it's a different kind of wisdom. And that wisdom is not always like perfectly compatible at the same time with this kind of wisdom, with our intellectualism. So I think like you maybe have been exhausting yourself trying to figure this out, and it's not something that can be figured out. And that's also where the temperance card comes in, because temperance appears where we need to kind of find harmony between options. And it's largely about acceptance too. She has also, oh my god, this earth and water imagery. She has one foot on the earth, the other foot in water, because she is grounded in the real world, but she also is able to take the temperature of her emotional well-being and her emotional environment. She's split. She's, one foot in both places. And that offers this kind of temperance, this moderation, this balance and harmony with the different elements. It's not by saying goodbye to this situation, which might be a very earth situation. I think that's what I mean by saying like checking boxes. It's almost like a pentacle situation. Like it's just like on paper, this is checking boxes. It fulfills certain needs. Like basic needs are being met by this situation. I am on paper successful in this situation. That's all in the realm of earth element, all in the realm of pentacles. And then you have this emotional thing that feels at odds with that. I think the mistake is thinking that those two things are at odds with each other, because they actually could go hand in hand. Wanting to end something, wanting to end the physical situation that you're in, does not mean you're choosing your emotions over the physical situation. It means that your emotions are actually shedding light and insight on the physical situation that you might not really intellectually be able to work out yet. It's not an either or. It's a harmonizing of these things, and that's really where temperance is coming into the picture here. But regardless of this emotional wisdom, of this emotional intelligence, there is a call for you now to put more value in that emotional intelligence than in your brain. Your brain needs to rest. That's how you gain mental stability. This is a 4 card, so that's all about security and stability. And you need, mental security and stability right now. And mental rest, I would say. That's another element, is the water. While the earth is conscious, is our conscious experience, water is our unconscious experience. So acting from something that is bubbling up from the unconscious, of course it's hard to make sense of it in the mind. You might not be conscious of it yet. You just can feel the unconscious influence, the unconscious drive, and you are processing that here first rather than here. So it's a different kind of wisdom, and it's a harmonizing of that unconscious knowing with your conscious physical experience. That is what temperance is calling out for. That is what this angel does so beautifully. It almost looks magical the way that she does this. She's pouring this water in a way that's like actually impossible. It's like working against gravity. It's flowing at an angle into this other cup. That physical impossibility, it's like, you might be seeing this almost like this choice to depart from this physical situation to be something that almost like is requiring miraculous or supernatural events for you, and it doesn't have to be that, because it's not about the angel's ability to actually work literal miracles, but rather her perspective of having one foot in the ground and on the earth and one foot in the water. It's her perspective that allows her to harmonize things that seem to be in duality, and harmonize that experience and feel peace within herself and balance in her world and her experience. It's also about like releasing resistance and allowing things to flow in a certain way. When we stunt and paralyze emotions that we feel, we think, I can't act on that. We deprive ourselves of a lesson, because even if it is an action that later we go, oh, that was a mistake, allowing the flow to happen to bring us to taking that action and making that mistake was important for us to learn something, and was important and crucial to our growth. So was it a mistake after all? There is like a flow of letting those emotions flow so that nothing is stunted, so you can really act on grounded emotions. You're not reacting emotionally, but you're proactively acting on these grounded emotions. And there's power in that. There's power in that flow. I will say that, though, to all of you, I would not act quite yet on this emotion, on these deep emotions that are coming up, until you have put your brain to rest. It's almost like, because temperance comes up too when it's like, it's about harmonizing dualities. It's about recognizing the mere existence of a middle path and realizing it's not necessarily a fork in the road. So there is a belief about that kind of duality, about the way that you're seeing the situation very binary, that needs to be put to rest. That kind of thinking is done for you, and it's not going to serve you in the action that you should take that will best support your highest self and your highest path. So even though you are feeling the nagging feeling, make sure that you take your time with it before you ground it in action, and make sure that it truly is coming from your gut and not from here, because an overactive brain can worry and worry and worry us sick. It can convince us of anything. That's a different nagging coming from that voice versus the nagging that comes from our gut. So I think before you act on anything, it is important to recognize the moderation of the situation, the non-binariness of the situation, the ability to blend dualities, to harmonize dualities that seem to be polar opposites, but are not. You're only just seeing it through that lens because that's how our brains simplify things. And once you're able to like accept the truth of that, then see if that impulse is still there, see if the emotions are still there. Sense what you are getting from that foot that's in the unconscious, and see if that let that rather inform the action you take following. But regardless, pile 3, there's an adventure awaiting ahead of you. There's an adventure beyond this ideal situation that you have built, and recognizing when it's time for things to come to an end is a natural and beautiful part of life. We often think good things need to last forever, and without realizing that sometimes that belief is what causes us to drive good things into the ground. Because we're unable to embrace their natural endings. We're unable to embrace their beautiful natural deaths. And that's what stalls our own adventures and keeps us, really slows us down to a halt, which is the out of balance form of this turtle. And you don't want to be slowed down to a halt. You want to keep adventuring. You want to keep storytelling. You want to keep writing your story. So honor that emotion by grounding it in your reality. Pile 4, you did it. You chose pile 4. Let's see what's in store for you guys. Oh boy, we got the butterfly. We have the Ace of Swords. We have the 6 of Cups. We have the 10 of Cups. Are you kidding me? You guys, what is going on with you right now? It's beautiful. And if you can't see the beauty of it, I'm going to wake you up to it because it's right in front of your eyes. I want to kick off this reading. Use this as a little jumping off point. This is Kim Krantz, the creator of the Wild Unknown decks. This is her guidebook for her spirit animal deck. And she just says things so eloquently and beautifully. And what she writes is just often so resonant with me. I don't want to deprive you of her own interpretations of her own cards. I think it's important. So we'll use this as a jumping off point. Butterfly. Undergoing great change and transformation. The energy of the butterfly is with us during periods of transition. Since transition is accompanied by some amount of discomfort, be extra patient and kind during this time, especially if the butterfly is you. Let solid friends and activities support you like a cocoon. Committing to one daily routine, a meal practice, or prayer done at the same place and time will do wonders for lifting a butterfly's spirit. I love it. When in balance, cheerful, graceful. When out of balance, fragile, frustrated. To bring into balance daily routine. Okay, I'm going to set this right here for reference. So we have, this is beautiful, just the symmetry of this. We have 2 air cards followed by 2 cups cards. There is some sort of transformation going on up here mentally for you that is going hand in hand with an emotional transformation, a heart transformation. And I think when that happens, it usually, what's coming up for me right now is kind of a re-understanding, a rewriting, not rewriting, that's the wrong word, reframing, some new enlightenment regarding a matter of the heart, something that has affected you emotionally, something in your past, a past event. I'm going to definitely say a past event because the 6 of Cups is coming up here, which is all about the past, all about nostalgia. This can go back to childhood for you. But there's something where, oh wow, I'm hearing that some of you are growing up right now in a way that was arrested for you. In a way that was paused for you due to some childhood wound that needed to be closed completely and was keeping you in a childlike state in some ways. Because when we don't answer to our inner children, when we don't take care of our inner children, they just scream louder and louder. And they affect all our choices as adults. But we fail to see that, oh, this is the voice of my inner child that is crying out. This action, this reaction rather, is coming from my inner child. This is not coming from adult version of me. And the more I ignore it and resist the inner child, the more I will experience that kind of reactive response to things. The more that reaction will determine the action of my life rather than conscious decision making. So I'm hearing that for some of you, you really are like waking up to some sort of clear-headedness, some new understanding about your past or about someone or something from your past that might even be like revisiting you right now, might even like be making its way into your life again right now. This clear-headedness is coming with this great transformation. I don't even know which is coming first. It's almost like, is it the chicken or the egg? They're going hand in hand. But you are undergoing this transformation, and it is opening your mind in some ways, and then the opening of your mind itself is affecting the transformation itself. It's beautiful, you guys. Like, pile 4, I'm so curious. I want to hear what's happening with you right now, because this is a divinely guided experience and metamorphosis. It's giving you wings. It's like this is giving you, this new awareness is giving you wings. It's allowing you to fly in areas of your life where at one point you felt like you were crawling and you felt like you were moving so slowly. And now this is opening up to you. This is giving you wings. You're able to see things even from like a higher bird's eye view, which gives you a better perspective on, you know, the tiny, how little the pebbles are that you had to crawl over before. But an ace card, you can see it's coming. It's the hand of God reaching right out of the sky. And I love this deck. I love this moon power deck because it's all these images of outer space, which creates this sense of expansion that is expansion and perspective that really informs all of the cards in this deck. Because this isn't just even, it's not the hand of God reaching out of the sky, of the earth. It's the hand of God reaching out of outer space. There is something about this experience that is alien to you. It's magic to you. You're discovering the complexities and nuances and expansiveness of the universe, not only around you, but the universe within you. Oh God, that's so beautiful, you guys. Whatever this metamorphosis is about, this new awareness, it also might be an actual like idea that you were having about something in your past, something that has been kind of on the back burner. What am I saying? Something on the back burner for a while. And that's why it goes deep into your past, and like a past dream or something that you've like, I'll get to that eventually. That now you have this idea about that is transforming your world. You have this like clear idea that you're like, I know what to do with this. I know what to do with this passion, this impulse, this project of fulfillment, this wish, which is, you know, lives in the realm of cups, like wishes we have and wish fulfillment. It's fulfillment of the heart. You might have an idea about this that makes this crystal clear for you, how your path moving forward. Also, you might have a decision that you make about this, some decision that you make about something that's been sitting on the back burner for a while, or a decision made about a past dream that you had, a decision made about a person from your past, an experience from your past. But this decision is affecting your movement forward. It's affecting how you are being reborn. And you're being reborn as this more powerful being, this more beautiful, I think, yeah, powerful being, because it's like you have the power of flight now, you know, going from a butterfly going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. But it really is leading to the ultimate wish fulfillment, whatever this is. This is the 10 of Cups. So, guys, this is like the happily ever after card. This is really, really deep wish fulfillment. I also love the depiction of this card because we see a river separating the city from the house out in the country, which is like, and all of it is under this rainbow. It's like everything has a place under this this fulfillment and this joy. It's this perfect balance between the wild, you know, our unconscious, our creative selves, the feminine, like the wild feminine, and the structured masculine of the city, and of society and of those rules. It's like understanding how those work together, those very structured parts of ourselves, and then the wild flowing parts of ourselves, that they both have a place in the balance in our own. They both have a place, and they both are in balance with each other when it comes to our own fulfillment. It's like finding that perfect balance for you. I do want to check I have a tarot diary, you guys. Am I a loser or what? I'm kidding. I actually think it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to see what I was writing about this because just journaling about the Ten of Cups. Yeah. That's a great point. This is, so we see the parents, they're looking up at the rainbow. The children are playing. They're not even aware of the rainbow above them. There is something really beautiful about the difference between being able to, like, being a parent, being an adult, knowing hardship, knowing suffering, and therefore having the awareness and gratitude to recognize valuable qualities in a situation, to recognize real happiness, domestic happiness, and fulfillment for what it is, like on a very deep level, not a superficial, like, fleeting feeling of, oh, I won. That's not really deep fulfillment or happiness. And then having that contrast with the children who are completely innocent, and happiness for them is their default. They don't need to look up at a rainbow in order to be like, oh, everything's good. They're just like, I'm present in my moment. I am playing. It doesn't matter what's happening around me. Everything is good. Because that happiness is this default. It's the natural condition of life. They expect happiness. They also, though, don't waste it. They're still aware of it enough to really revel in it and be present in it. And so it's really, again, like a beautiful balancing of having that experience of being adult, of having lived through suffering, and having that made you a greater container for joy, but then also still expecting the happiness, not letting that experience make you not expect it. So whatever this metamorphosis for you is, oh my god. Was that scary? I'm sorry. Whatever this metamorphosis is for you, pile 4, it is so positive. It is so beautiful and so positive, and it only has good things in store for you. There is only a rainbow at the end of it. So while you are if you find yourself still in the cocoon stage and you're not quite sure what's going to happen when you break out of it, have faith. Have faith and be reassured that there is something beautiful waiting for you on the other side. as long as you take whatever clear-headedness comes to you from this transformation, from this metamorphosis, whatever new awareness rises up and allows you to act on a past situation, resolve something from the past. Oops, low battery. Let me just plug this in. Sorry, guys. Whatever allows you to act on this, resolve this thing in the past, which could be an actual physical situation or like an internal unresolved emotion from the past that is crying out for resolution, something that needs your attention, that now you have the clear-headedness, you have the awareness to approach it differently, see it through a different lens, and process it so that you can allow yourself to experience the happy ending that maybe you've been keeping from yourself. Regardless, this great change, this transformation, this metamorphosis is natural. It's beautiful. And definitely welcome it. Welcome it. Be grateful for it. Surrender to it. It will only bring you more fulfillment, greater treasures, greater things to be thankful for. Thank you, thank you all piles. Thank you everyone for joining me for this reading. I hope that this maybe it was a little bright spot in your week and gives you some guidance and grounding and stability so that you can be your best self today and every day moving forward. I do this to empower you, to enlighten you, to support you. So I would personally love to hear how this reading manifests in personal details about your life. If you feel open enough to share and you want to connect with me, I really, really love to connect with you. Thank you guys. I love you. I'm grateful for you, and I'll see you in the next Starchaeology video. Bye.